Welcome back. As you said, you still look good because you got short hair, probably.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm gonna cut mine when I get older. Um, anyway,
Yeah, I
so
know how it is.
hey, Paulo, nice to meet you, or nice to see you. So the game plan for this is I want to give you the opportunity to ask questions about swimming if you want to. But then I have something planned that I want to take you adults through that I took the kids through on Sunday. Um, because you may have heard from me. I'm not saying you're the problem, but at the same time, you might be the problem. But it's like by design. We. So how my coach has explained this to me many years ago, it made a lot of sense. Like think about this. I just want to preface it a little bit before we do some other questions and then we go into that topic. It's like a baby comes to this planet and lands in a mother's womb, and it's this soul that lands in a body, right? And so from the universe, wherever they're coming from or they came from, same for you, by the way, right? It's for all of us. That was all love and everything was one and there was no separation and all that. And then all of a sudden you land in this human body. And what happens is babies cry, right? Babies just cry. No matter like what, like how conscious you are and how good your parenting is and how much love you have for them, they're still going to cry. And what happens is subconsciously they make up a reason, or we made up a reason when we're crying. We're like, okay, as a baby, subconsciously, okay, why am I like, why am I'm in pain, some kind of pain, right? So for me, my mother, for example, I learned that through meditation and some guided visualizations and stuff with my coach, and then also conversations with my mother. And she told, like, I couldn't remember it, but I got this feeling, okay, in the meditation that she wanted to breastfeed me and she couldn't. And I was always hungry and always crying. And my dad said, okay, just give him the formula and stuff. And she's like, no, I want to try. And I was crying, 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 crying. And at some point she gave up. But she really, she's like, she's a super mother, right? She's just like my wife. She came to this planet to be a mom. And she wanted to breastfeed so badly, but she couldn't. And I was crying. And then subconsciously, we make up a reason. It's like, okay, I'm in pain. What does that mean about me? And then there's these beliefs that come in that I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I don't belong. And these things just happen. And that creates, it has to happen in the human journey because in the spiritual world, we're all one. It's all love, right? It's all one, it's all connected. But then we are on this planet and we have an individual experience. So there has to be some separation. Okay. And so a lot of these wounds that we have, emotional wounds, whatever, they happen in early childhood. And then, at some point, right, the person is going to wake up and say, okay, this is all from my past. And I want my future to be different than my past. So I'm going to have to change my personality. But where you come in, and I say this again and again and again, parents are the most overlooked and unappreciated levers in the swimmer's journey because there are a lot of things that you can do to support your kid. Right? And this is what this mastermind and actually the whole Swim Pros movement has always been about, that we want the input from the kid, we want the input from the coach, we want the input from people like you and myself, and we definitely want to have the input from the parents. Right? That's the only way to create a dream team. And so the stuff that you do or don't do, I made a post, I don't know if you saw it, but I made a post about how important it is and how, like somebody, especially if they're younger, right? They finish the race, but even in the teenage years, they finish the race, they check the clock, and then they look at you because you are the most important, right? It's like, it's cool. You are the most important person to them. How cool is that? And so, how you, like your face, I mean, they just like your child, and if they're like a little stiff behind the blocks and stuff, this isn't going to go well, and they haven't even stepped up on the block yet. They know you just as well, right? And so what they're really after is the validation of the kids, right? It's like the kids in their infancy, they want the kids of the parents, right? But then later, it's like, oh, I want to make my dad proud, or like, my mommy or whatever. But it's like, you are their world at that age, right? Later, I'm 38, and it's like, okay, I think I kind of know my, it will go away. But you're at the age where your kids are at, it's so freaking important, right? So I want to cover that and tell you what I told them, and then kind of spin it a little bit, because I love doing that. I love explaining it in the most simple terms to the kids. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I was blown away on Sunday how they took it. Like, this is not, I could try to explain this to like adults that, in banking and stuff where I was, and I don't think they would get it. I really don't. And your kids, most of them, I asked them how much, of that did you get? And some said 100, 110, some said like 80. There's like a language, but still, it's really good. It's crazy. So if they start to, I wish I kind of knew some of these things. I don't have to understand everything, but like knowing how your thoughts change into the choices that you make, and that turns out into the experience, and like what you actually do, the behavior and the experience and the feelings that you feel, right? For them to understand, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. I wish somebody told me that a bit early. They don't have to understand everything, but just knowing like bits and pieces of that, so they become aware. It's like, oh, okay, I've always been thinking like that, and it doesn't serve me. So maybe I can start to have a different thought, which will lead to a different choice, different behavior, different experience, different feelings. Okay, so you guys have wonderful kids. So I mean, I love it. But now today we're gonna go a bit like more, with adults, right? We understand this world a bit better, so we can go a bit deeper and kind of look at it from a different angle. But as I said, first, I want to give you the opportunity to just ask any question that you want. Do you guys have any about, food, sleep, swimming, whatever? Just unmute and go. Yeah, go for it, Miriam. You have to unmute though. Oops, I'm back. Yep. Now you still on mute. Wait. Are you not allow audio? Try now. Try to unmute. No. Disable audio. No. You have to click some kind of button.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Now,
No, it's good.
Naomi wants me to ask you how she should swim the 200 IM. That's
Okay. That's a good question. Look, guys, this comes up a lot. So let me just show you what I typically do. Right. Oftentimes for a man, I know it, but for girls, I don't. So the 200 IM, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, the 200 IM is like the worst example of all.
Okay.
Because, well, the reason is that it depends on what her strengths are and stuff, right? I'll give you the process for, let's say, a 200 free. Okay. So I would go to swimrankings.net. Okay. This is most of the European swimmers. There's some Americans in there. You go on rankings, you go on top times. Let's go to women. Let's say long course. You got 200 freestyle. You click that. And then you got the top performers this year. And what I would typically do is I would look at the top 5, 6, 7, or whatever to get a feeling of what it is that they're doing. Okay, so this girl, Freya, she goes out 27, and then it goes 28, 29, 29. You see that? So the difference between the first 50 and the fastest, which is the first, because they got the dive, and the last is 2.2 seconds. Okay, cool. Now you got 27, 29, 29, 30. Okay, so it's like almost a 3-second difference. And you got 27, 29, 29, 30. You got 27, 29, 30, 30. 27, 29, 30, 29. Right? So you see how it's pretty equally split. The first 50 is a bit faster because there's a dive, but then it's very consistent.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
That
what I
makes
would do is, because most of the time when they're swimming at 200 at Naomi's age or a
sense.
400 and stuff like that, they go out all guns blazing on the first 50,
Mm, mm,
and then you see a huge drop between the first 50 and the second 50, right? There's a huge
mm,
drop. And then sometimes they're like,
mm,
oh, I got 150, I can still go. And they come back really fast. So it's like fast, slow, slow, fast, or it's
mm.
fast, slow, 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 or whatever.
Yeah. 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 It's true.
But
It's
the younger they are, they just go out way too fast. They're like so
true.
excited and they go out all guns
Mm,
blazing and stuff. And
mm.
so I have them look at that and then
Okay.
say, okay, if your goal time is, okay, I'm going to make this up. Okay. So let's say your goal time is 3 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
right? 3 minutes. Then you
Mm-hmm.
will go, you try to go 128 and then maybe 1 to 32. Okay. So that means if you go out, if you want to go 128, that would be what would that be? A 45. You probably don't go out faster than like a 43.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. For
Because
example,
okay. Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then
Okay.
what she needs to try is, this is a really good tip, because like a 200 and a 400, you have to learn how to pace yourself. You have
Mm,
to actually learn
mm,
how to swim it, and you have to
mm.
hold back, especially on the legs, on that first 50. And so during the
Okay.
warm up, if she knows, okay, I want to go out in a 43 and not faster. Okay, just again making this up. A 43 is like would be ideal. Then during the warm up, she can do a dive, a 50 pace. She does the normal warm up, and then a 50 off the blocks on her feet, right?
Mm,
With the turn. And
mm.
then she's trying to hit the 43. And then if she goes a 43, that's great. If she goes faster than 43, she knows she definitely doesn't have to go faster when she actually swims the race in an hour, because she's going to have the suit. There's going to be the excitement. And if she's slower, she will be just fine when she actually races. And it gives them the confidence to know how to split that first 50.
Okay.
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 So it's a really
Okay.
good idea to get inspired
Okay.
how the pros do it. And you'll see there's always some
Yeah.
kind of pattern. There's always some differences, of course, because some people like to go out faster and they kind of
Mm,
dilate. Other
mm,
people like to back half.
mm. So basically, it's like set a time for splits. Aim for a set time for the splits, depending on what time is her target. Got it.
Exactly. And then practice that in practice. Right.
Yeah.
And like,
Mm-hmm.
so I always ask them to make sure that you guys check the clock in training, like
Mm, mm,
you have to
mm.
become aware, because after a while, when you do competitive swimming for long enough, you got a freaking clock in your brain and it goes tick tock, tick tock. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Okay.
can still tell me like for a 400 free. So my best time in long course was a 352. And I'm pretty certain that when I like just sit, I don't even have to count. I could be very accurate with telling you, okay, this was 4 minutes still. Yeah. But you actually have to check the clock in training, because there's some swimmers, they just swim and they're like in la la land, and it's not going to develop that way. But if you say, okay, I'm going to try to hit a 40 now, right? And you hit a 41, it's like, oh, that helps you kind of, right? Because you have what you feel and what the clock is, and that will start
Mm,
to fine tune itself
mm.
automatically.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
But for
Yeah.
the IM, it's difficult, because the IM is also something you have to train a lot, because you see a lot of people who, when you add up their 50 fly, their 50 back, and their 50 breast, and their 50 free, for example, they would be absolute, say, superstars. They should be very fast in
Mm.
the IM, but then they're not. It's because they
Um,
haven't, you know,
mm,
they haven't really worked on the transitions. You have to. It's like it's its own style, so to say.
Gotcha. Okay. It shows the
Right?
weak part, shows really the weak parts. Okay. Yeah, got
Yeah.
it. So works on the splits. Really, really, really focus on the splits. Okay. Thank
Yep.
you. Thanks for
Right.
the tip.
And I am like the general thing is, you always, if the goal is to improve, if her goal is to improve the I am, which is, I think at that age, is like, it's a very good thing to do,
Mm,
because it's fun to
mm,
train and it's good to develop all strokes,
mm.
is you want to work on the weakest stroke a lot.
Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
Because, right, let's say if you have like a superstar 53 at the end of the 200 IM, and you're already like really, really good at it. If
Mm,
you're a little better at it, you get like half a second. But
mm,
if you have a swimmer who just absolutely cannot swim breaststroke and they go like 7 seconds slower than everybody else, it would
mm,
be worth to develop and try to get those 7 seconds to maybe 2 seconds, because then you get 5 seconds instead of half a second.
mm. Okay. I
Make
think
sense?
I think I think I really have to really tell her how to really set her time right, because it varies like 2 to 3 seconds. Sometimes it's more than 3 seconds, sometimes it's just on the right time that she wants. So yeah, I'd like work on the
Yeah.
splits like you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's young, just
Yeah,
get time, right? But
yeah,
but yeah, you got to learn how to swim at 200. It doesn't just come naturally.
true.
Right.
Thanks.
You're
Thanks a lot.
welcome. Cool, cool. Other questions, guys? Eva, Stephanie, Nina, Gabriel, Paolo. Any questions? None at all? Nina?
Mm, yeah,
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
Hi.
Go.
I'd like to ask a question. So, um, what is your opinion on how many training sessions per week pool and gym are good for 16 years old boy?
That's a question it's impossible to answer. So how many is he doing?
6 in the pool, 2 in the gym.
But he's very focused. I mean, does he have does he want to do more, or like what's the deal? What's going on?
Well, he tried to add one more gym,
Mhm.
but in combination with school, it was too much because school is also very focused and demanding. Um, so they have this separation in the team: kids who go to school and kids who don't go that much to school. And the ones who don't go to school that much, same age, would
Mhm.
go 8 times in training and 4 times in gym. So, so do you think this will build up in time to be like a gap, or it's too much too early? I don't know.
He wants to go to the Olympics, right?
No, uh, not really. I
Did you
don't
ask
think
him?
so. Um,
I thought I asked him that
no,
question, so I don't
I
remember. Maybe I don't.
haven't.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So I like look. How does like there's no. I mean, ask Michael Phelps how much he trained at that age. Hmm? So there's no. I can't give you an answer. I wish I could, but that question comes a lot. But I think, well, what is your son saying? What's he saying? Does he want to do
Well,
more?
I don't think he has the physical time to do more while the school is on.
Is he? What kind of grades is he getting?
Um, um, Good ones, above
Okay.
average, not
Okay.
fully excellent, but good ones.
Okay.
So it's also very demanding school, so a lot of work there. He
Yeah.
cannot.
No. So I think like it's a bit of a trade-off, right? I mean, if you're trying to go for like really good grades, it seems like you have to study a lot and stuff. And if you so again, right, it depends on what's important to him and you guys. But for me, I mean, what I learned in school, I had very good grades when I was younger, and then they got worse and worse and worse, but I passed. And all the stuff that between you and I, right? I don't say this to the kids, but all the stuff I learned in school and university, I got my master's in finance, right? It's all added up to a bunch of bullshit that actually didn't serve me at all. So, right. So I'm not saying that to kids because I don't want them to, because like there is a point like to finish the school and then you have more opportunities and all that. But, you know, it, it, it- I just
But
say,
you
like,
know,
look, if, yeah,
they still need some GPA to go to university, right? They cannot be like too
yeah,
low
you
or too average to
just gotta
pass
pass,
this
right?
bar. So
You
They
just
kind
gotta,
of need
yeah.
a little bit above average at least. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're right. But like maybe that is so like it really depends. But I do feel like at 16 is kind of, I mean, 6 times a week and two weight room sessions. It's, I mean, for like a normal human being, it's like holy shit. That's like, how do you do that? Um, but at the same time, I mean, he could dip his toes into doing 7 times because like I know he's very focused. So I think maybe it's just time for him to kind of reinvent himself because so far the way he has been doing things, there's not enough physical time to do it. But believe me, like I give you an example. Okay, my coach, when that was like 3 years ago. I was working because Luana wasn't born yet. I was working like 80 hours a week, which is into the 2026, it's pretty wild. And it wasn't healthy. It wasn't like great, and I wasn't that productive. And my coach said, okay, for next week, you can work a maximum of, I think he said 20 hours for the whole week. So that means you got a couple hours in the morning and then you turn your computer off. And I was freaking out. It's like, are you crazy? Like, I didn't say it to him because he's like, he's old, he's 65, right? I wouldn't, but I didn't want to disrespect him. I was like, all shit came up for me. It's like, okay, this is not going to work. I'm going to, and then what happened? The world kept spinning. The sun still came up in the morning, and I actually had a very good time. And it forced me to reinvent the things I do and drop a lot of the shit that I was doing that actually didn't move the needle, and then find ways to either delegate if I could or just eliminate it, to just eliminate it. And all of a sudden, I'm not saying I'm just working 20 hours a week, and probably do a bit more, but not like that was such a good experiment. And I was freaking out, but it forced me and I trusted my coach. So I was like, okay, we're going to do it. I'm freaking out. And, I don't know how it's going to go. And I'm, worried, but I trust you. And I did it. And it turned out to be really well. And now, we kind of, Yul and I try to do that often. We're like, okay, you don't go to the computer for like 4 days, and then you have to reinvent yourself. And I think that might be, it's an opportunity, right? To like look at it and you can always, I mean, there's almost certain if you check the settings on the phone, yeah, you will find some time probably,
3-4 hours at least.
Exactly. A day or a week? A day or a week?
A day. A day.
Well, but then it's not that he physically doesn't have time, right? Because that's what you
Well,
and I.
it's during transport.
Yeah, but
It's bad situation with phones everywhere. You know
yeah,
that. Yeah.
guys, I invite you very much to this one. Please join this one. So you have to read it. I don't want to say here, but it is the No-Nag method. Okay, pretty cool name. But what this really is, like, read it. It's about helping them reduce screen time without you having to be like a freaking army soldier or like sergeant and having to drill them. It's for them to say, hey, I'm going to reduce screen time. Okay. And it's just my intuition is telling me I'm going to be more successful at doing that with them. And you're going to be involved, by the way, right? It's not like, oh yeah, just do it. You're going to be involved, but I have a feeling I'm going to be more successful than if it comes from you, even if you follow the exact same process, because I will give you the process, right? But I do feel like it will be more fun when they do it in a group as a challenge, because the kids, right? We see it with these vitality bands or whatever they have, if they have a watch or and there's how much sleep did I get, how good was it, and they love it, right? And they tell each other, and it becomes like a game. And with screen time, we can measure that stuff super easy with a screenshot here and a screenshot there. And the idea is that they want to do it because they know it's not really serving them, because a lot of them do agree with that. It's just they don't know how to actually do the transition, just like so many adults, right, don't know. We also know, and we're also on our phones. And I'm very, very passionate about it, especially with the kids, because I see how they're turning into freaking zombies when they go on their phones, right? And including myself and my friends and my wife. It's the same with my dad. He used to be so doing sports all now. He's got like problems, had both knees replaced and stuff, and now he's at home and he's like, oh, but I can't move and stuff. And then he goes on social media and then he reads only the headlines, and that's giving him something. It's like, oh, I know what's going on and stuff. But really, it's just a freaking, it's kind of sad to see. It hurts me. But, what can I tell my dad, right? Because he's like, he's just my son, whatever I say. But with the kids, I have a different status. That's why I'm so excited, because with them, it's going to work, especially if I have your support. So for that child, please read it. And then if you decide to come on board, please do. Okay, we'll start end of June. That's the plan. Cool. What other questions? And after that, we're going to have to get going. But if you have questions, go for it. We're good? Okay, so what I taught them. So look, basically, where do we start? Our brains are artifacts of what happened to us in the past. Yeah, it's a collection of memories and experiences and whatever that happened to us specifically in the past. And we can say that we can all look at the same situation and we will all have a different experience about that. We'll have different thoughts about it. We'll have different feelings about it. We will tell a different story about what actually happened, because you have your subjective reality. I have mine, right? And everybody's different based on what happened in the past. Make sense? And so let me draw this out for you. I'd like you to take notes, because then what you then can do is you can actually go and speak to your kid about it if they weren't training on Saturday, right? So on Sunday, you have what we call a personality. Personality. Okay. And that personality drives the thoughts that you have. It drives the actions that you take, and it drives the feelings that you have as a result of the actions that you took. Now, some people, I have this from my meditation coach, and I'm not going to, tell you to go and meditate and stuff. I just want you to understand the concept. Also, I think for the kids, it's like too early to ask them to actually become a master at meditation, because it's a long journey. And so we're going to do it a bit differently. But basically, it's thoughts lead to actions, and then they lead to a feeling. But you could also say thoughts lead to a feeling, and then that results in an action, because we always do what we feel like doing. Okay, so it's just, but in the end of the day, it's not going to matter. And what we call this, all of this, so the thoughts, the actions, and the feelings, we call this the state of being. State of being. Okay, it's our state of being. Now, if those things stay the same, right, we're going to have, this is us, right? This is our personality. And this is just going to be the old self. Just call it old self. Okay? Because what happens is, if we get so, let me give you an example. If somebody hates waking up in the morning, right? Like a lot of people do. They don't get up in the morning and they're fully energized. Okay. And so let's say they've been sleeping in the same room for like 5 years. And what happens is, if there is no, and I have some notes on this later, but if there's no conscious thought basically about what it is that we're going to do today, what's going to happen is that the brain will just wake up. I mean, the consciousness will come to you, right? And you look at the environment, and in the absence of a thought, what great thing you're going to do today, what's going to happen is you're going to look at the environment, and just by being in the environment, you're like, oh, it's like all the other days, and you go in full autopilot mode. We have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Okay, that's what the research is saying. I don't know how they exactly came up with it, but 60 to 70,000 thoughts. 90 to 95% of them are the same. Okay. And then what happens is that we just, if there's no new thoughts, what happens is the brain and the body will default into the same autopilot things that it already knows. So let me give you an example how the body gets addicted to certain emotions. It's pretty wild. Let's say somebody, okay, let's just do angriness. Okay, I did the same thing with the kids on Sunday. When a person, you all know somebody who gets angry a lot, right? That uncle or the whatever, right? Somebody. So when we get angry, what happens is the brain releases a cocktail of hormones and chemicals and stuff. Let's just call them angry molecules to keep it simple. And those angry molecules, they're going to go in the bloodstream, right? And it's going to go through your entire body. Now, all the cells, they have what we call receptors. Yeah? They have receptors to let certain molecules inside of the cell. Yeah? And so they'll have some receptors for the angry molecule. And so it will go through the bloodstream and then it will go through the receptor into the cell. Now, our body is hugely intelligent and always adapts to the environment. So if we're training hard and we're pushing our body 2-3 times a week, like to the absolute limit, like the body will go, oh shit, she's training really hard. Naomi's training really hard in that breaststroke, right? And then it was like, oh, we need to adjust. And the body will adjust to the environment. So if the body is super smart and there's the angry molecule coming over and over and over and over again, when those cells multiply, because at some point they're going to die and they need to multiply, right? And they're intelligent, what are they going to do? If they're super intelligent, think about it. They're going to double. And because that angry molecule came so often, they will have more receptors for that angry molecule. Crazy, right? That's how this goes. And so after a while, the body, in a way, becomes addicted to the angry molecule. And then what happens is if you say consciously, okay, like, let me not just be such a poor, miserable fuck, right? Let me have some positive emotions and, some love, and let me love people and all of that. It's a conscious thought. But the problem is it never really gets below the stem, because even if you're trying really hard not to get angry, all the cells in the body will start to scream like an addict. We need the angry molecule. We need it. Right? And then what happens is you're in the train or the bus and somebody with a backpack just goes like this and just, touches you a little bit and you go, you motherfucker. Right? And then there's the angry molecule gets released and the body goes, ah, right? Like a freaking addict. This is how this works. So the body, not just the brain, but the body actually becomes addicted to certain emotions because it makes us feel something. If we experience it over and over and over and over again, the body becomes addicted to that stuff. So that's why if somebody is notoriously shy in front of other people, right, and it's happened and there's some bad memories and some emotionally charged moments where she or he got embarrassed and stuff, it sits in the body. And then a conscious thought will not help because the body is programmed differently. It's pretty wild. But obviously it works the other way as well. If we decide to be happy and be, grateful and stuff for little things, and we start to be that often, when the cells duplicate again, they're going to build less of the angry molecule, let's say, and they're going to build more of the happy receptors, right? And then they all of a sudden the body becomes addicted to happiness or gratitude. And so if we haven't been happy or grateful, we look outside and we see a bird go by and we're like, oh my God, this is cool. And the body goes, whoo, right? Needed a little happiness. So it goes both ways. The body doesn't differentiate. It just adapts to the environment. But obviously it starts with the brain. Okay. So back to this thing. Okay. So this is the, we call this the old self, right? Same thoughts will lead to same or similar actions, same kind of feeling state, same state of being. And so what we need to do if we want new, so here is new. What we actually need is a new personality. Right? We actually need a new We actually need to change who we are. That's how this works, right? This is the future. 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 Whereas this over here, obviously, is the past. That makes sense? It starts with the thoughts that we're having, which is cool because we can control those. And you know what happens when somebody is operating from the old personality? And and you can check that with yourself and with other people. When you understand somebody's personality, and maybe it's your own, or it's somebody that your wife or your husband or your kid or somebody or your mom, dad, whatever. If they keep operating from the same personality, what they're going to do is they're going to have the same thoughts, they're going to have the same actions, they're going to have the same feeling, they're going to have the same state of being. Now, how does their future become? It becomes predictable. That's what we call the predictable future. You will be able to tell it's very predictable because it's based on the past. Okay. And for human beings, there's not a lot of things that feel worse than being uncertain of what is going to happen next. So the brain will always try to orient itself and try to hang on to the known instead of being open to the unknown, but also unknown, it sounds a bit negative, but what it also means, it's freaking potential. Okay, but the brain will clinch, hang on to what it knows, what is familiar, because that feels better. But then what you end up with is a predictable future, which is more of the same. Right? And we can short circuit that by saying, fuck it. I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to define a new personality. And we can do that. That's the cool thing. We can actually do that. Okay. And you can do it for yourself. For example, right? And this is kind of what I'm getting at, because I'm not asking you to change, and maybe you're like, love yourself, which is great. I'm just saying, when it comes to the kids, to the swimmers, for training and your expectation towards them, what I want you to start, and I'll give you 3 questions that we're going to go through in a second, but I want you to start investigating your own thoughts and beliefs and experiences that you've had in relation to how you respond to what your kid is doing in the pool, whether it's in training or in competition, because that matters a lot. Okay. I don't have to research. I read a lot of stuff, so I can't I'm not 100% sure what the number is and all that, but it's the one that actually, it matters a lot because you are so important in their lives. Right. So that's what I want you to do, to start investigating, become aware that after training, before competition, after competition, what you are doing. And then I'm sure you can figure it out on your own, and then hopefully that will help everybody. Right. But that's the idea. Does that make sense so far? Any questions on that? Okay. Sorry, the second part of what I prepared. A little more in detail. So I just pull this up. So it's like your personality creates your personal reality, right? And every one of us has our own. So there's only one of Nina, there's only one of me, there's only one of Gabriel. So everyone, you have your own personality and you have your own personal reality, but it's defined by your personality, thoughts, actions, and experiences. Cool. And so how do we change that? So this is how to change reality. How to change reality. Okay. So if you have the same thoughts, you're going to have what? The same choices. You're going to have the same behaviors. You're going to have the same experience, and you're going to have the same feelings. and that is the old state of being. It's your old. There's other words for this. It's just how my meditation coach explains it, but there's other words, like it could be your old identity, like who you are. Thoughts lead to choices, lead to behavior, lead to experience, lead to a feeling, and that is your state of being. Now, here's what happens. Inspiration. Let's just put inspire. Those two, the thoughts and the feeling that you get at the end of that thought, when the whole cycle is through, that will inspire more of the same thoughts. Does that make sense? It's a loop that gets like imprinted into the brain and the body more and more and more, because when you're like, okay, I am nervous because I'm not sure if I'm nervous because of these other girls and these other boys in competition, and I have a bad result, and I feel bad about myself, and then that inspires for the next competition. It will inspire more thoughts about, oh my God, am I ready? What is the other people going to do? Right? It's this cycle that feeds on itself. Okay. And then obviously to change that, we want to have, and again, this is the important part, it starts with new thoughts. Okay, this is where it starts. That will lead to new choices. That will lead to a new behavior, or the way they speak and stuff, behavior. That will lead to a new experience, which will lead to a new feeling. Right? And that is, again, that will inspire, right? These will then start to feed on each other, just like on the other side. Like human consciousness doesn't differentiate between good and bad and like progressive and regressive and stuff. It just is. Okay, so this is all we need to know. But it starts with a new thought, or with new thoughts. This is an important one, and that leads to a new state of being, right? It's the new state of being. Okay. And it's a little scary. It's a little scary to make that transition because it's going to be unknown. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, and I told the exact same thing to the kids. If you are not 100% happy, or maybe even unhappy about how it's going, and you feel like you're behind, you want more, or like whatever it is, then you need to make a choice and say, I'm okay with the unknown, because I know when I hold on to what I know, I'm going to get more of the same. Yes, I'm going to grow. There's going to be different people in my life. There's going to be different competitions, but I'm going to pretty much get more of the same. And you have to kind of be greater with your thoughts than your body to what the body is addicted to, in a way, right? Then there's some good addictions too, but there's also some bad ones that we all have, right? There's some good and some bad. And I don't mean drugs or alcohol. I mean like just things that the body, how we move through time and space. But we have to be, okay, this is unknown. It is scary. And there's going to be a moment in time, like I can make a decision now to go for the unknown and I like it. But then when we actually start doing it, and we call that a dissonance between what's going on in our brains, what we actually said we wanted to do, and what is programmed in the body and is going to make us scared, basically. And we're going to have to push through that barrier. And so I'm preparing the kids. So when we do make change from the inside, right? Because this is how you change from the inside. For you guys as parents, you should always be looking for opportunities to change the environment of the kids, right? Always be looking, because I asked them the question, it's pretty cool. I asked them the question, which one is more effective? Internal change or external change? And most of them, except Edward, there was one guy, everybody else said internal change. And it's probably because I taught him that. Or maybe they just heard it from they probably heard it from other places too. But Edward said external, and it is very effective, Because say you have the worst coach in the world who never looks at you, who has favorites, but it's not you, and he's even mean, he's like ignoring you, which is the worst of all, right? And you just hate your life in swimming. You just don't want to go to practice. And then the leadership of the club decides, hey, we need to replace the coach. They bring in a new guy or a girl, and he's all like, he's in love with the swimmers. He's super passionate. He treats everybody equal, and there's this momentum. The kid didn't change, but their world changed because of external change, right? So you parents should always be looking to create external change, positive change for them, because it's going to be very effective. When I went to the US, it was, well, in a way, I created it because I made it happen. But I got there. I didn't change. Not yet, right? I was just thrown into an environment where I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? This is awesome, right? And so we should always be looking for external change and throw them in an environment that is aligned with where it is that they say that they want to go, if it's going to be beneficial for them. But this is internal change, what we looked at. This is how internal change happens. Okay, does that make sense? The differentiation? They're both super effective, but this is the one that you can control 100%. Okay, and the fundamental promise of meditation, for example, is, and I've taken lots of attempts at meditation for like the last 10 years or so, and I failed many times, but I think this one now I've been doing it for like 3 months again, like every day. And now I think this time I actually got it, and I got past the point of like, oh, I'm super excited about it. And it became like a habit, and I really enjoy it. Whereas otherwise I was like sitting on hot coals. And so the premise is just that of meditation is that when we're so preoccupied with what is going on outside, other people, the times in swimming, what other people do, there's no energy for what it is that we want to do, because we're so like, we're literally wasting energy on things outside of us. And they can measure that today. They can measure how the energy field shrinks when we're thinking about other stuff, because the energy is not available to us, right? And then some people in meditation, they use this for their own healing, and they're so preoccupied with the other stuff that there's no energy for their own healing. And when they start bringing the attention back to themselves, all of a sudden they heal, and there's these wonders that happen, cancer cured, and like tumors gone, and all that stuff, right? And for us in swimming, it just means that they, in a way, and I just want them to understand, and want you to understand, is that let's choose different thoughts. Let's start to choose different thoughts. And I got a couple of questions for you guys. Okay, just reflection questions. Do it on your own. I asked the kids to share it, which was pretty cool. A couple of notes though from the training that I did, that I've wrote down. So we have to be greater than our bodies, right? With our thoughts, we have to be greater than our bodies, and definitely you and I have to be. I don't know if we can expect it from the kids. I don't know. We'll find out, right? This is the first time we actually do it with them, because they asked me for like, David, when is new stuff coming? And I was like, okay, if you guys are asking for it, you're doing the visualization, you know, the Michael Phelps, it's about being 1% better every day in practice, and not just about being a better swimmer, but being a better human, then this fits. And so we started doing it. So we have to be greater than our bodies. We cannot let the body run the show. Right? And it's the same thing for the swimmers. When their body, when they're doing 10 100s best average, after 5 or 6, the body's going to say, oh, we're done. Stop. And you have to learn to be better than your body. In competitive swimming, they did sign up for physical pain. There is no improvement without physical pain. I mean, you could get a little bit better with like technique, but you're not going to really like get to your full potential without physical pain. That's not true for you guys. You don't have to go through physical pain to become better human beings. It's not true. It's also not true for me anymore. But it's true for the athletes. They have to, so in a way, a really good thought would be, okay, I'm in physical pain. I freaking love it. And that would be very, if they can really start to wire that connection, that would be a very empowering thought. Because without it, they're just never going to, right? It's never going to happen. Okay, so we have to be greater in our body.
Something happened
We're not
with
seeing
your
you.
microphone.
We
Thanks.
cannot see you.
We're back. So the other thing he said, when you don't wake up with a vision in the morning, you're going on autopilot. And that is 100% certain. Okay. And guys, this is true for us too, right? It's not just the kids. This is us too. It's like we wake up and then, I don't know, maybe there's the phone. I told them one of the best things to do is, and a lot of them are not on their phones in the morning, which surprised me, which is great. But to be off their phones, even if they're taking a bus to school and stuff, try to be off their phones for as long as possible, because that is a hook and anchor into the known, right? And then we feel so important of all the emails and texts, like, right? But then also it sucks us into the problems that are going on and stuff, and then we're in the known again. Okay, so just anyway, this for you. If one of the best tips I could give you is just to not look at your phone for like 1, 2, 3 hours, however long you can go, and allow this creative energy in the morning to kind of do whatever he wants to do, and have a vision in the morning, right? Which is the visualization we do at night and stuff. But the first thought in the morning should be, hell fucking yeah, it is a great day. That should literally be it, or any variation of that. And I tell people who, oh guys, I'm so passionate about it, but like when people can't get up in the morning, like literally there is a very easy fix, very easy. Because that was me, and it works 100% of the time if they actually do it. You put your phone as far away as possible and the alarm as loud as you can, right? Ideally, you have one of these old school alarms that go, and they go really freaking loud. And you jump out of bed, you go and turn it off, and then you go and you do freaking jumping jacks, or you do push-ups, 20, whatever. You move your body, and you don't give your brain a millisecond to think about, ooh, but I'm tired. Ooh, let me roll over and feel sorry for myself. Fuck that shit. Right? We can use that language, but it's like, it's literally that simple. You just have to go and move your body, and the next thing you know is like you feel amazing. Right? It's that simple. You just have to break the circuit of like, oh, the alarm. Oh, but I have 5 more alarms I can snooze and turn over, and right? It's not going to make it better. Right? Just an example. Right? We have to wake up with a vision. Now, for me, it's very easy because my kids sleep in the same, and my wife also, but it's more with the kids, right? I get excited in the morning. They're like, oh, and it's so cool. It's the easiest thing in the world. I don't even have to. So it's like, I'm blessed right now. I know it's going to change again. I'm going to have to reinvent how I do things in the morning. But for now, this is awesome. There's no better waking up than like my daughter waking me up. Huh? For example. Cool. Oh, another one. One more quote. Most people believe their past more than they believe their future. Okay. They believe their past more than they believe their future. Okay. And so I think instead of telling the kids, hey, don't believe in your past so much, believe in your future, we just have to show them. We have to do the best that we can and live it so they get inspired to do it. One of the posts that we have twins from Germany. They're super awesome. They're 2 boys. They're like 16. And they spoke, this is what inspiration is. And I said it on the last mastermind. One of the best ways, second best way, is when they get inspired of somebody kind of like them who did something that they kind of want to do and stuff. And so he went to junior nationals. They're really early in Germany. And he spoke to a guy his age who's faster than him. And they're talking about social media, and the fast guy is like, social media? Well, I got off that a long time ago, right? And he's like, oh, what? And then he made a post on school. I was like, I'm deleting my social media. I was like, great. He's going to be in a challenge. His brother's going to be in a challenge, but that's inspiration, right? It's like somebody just told them how they do it. They kind of look up to that person and say, okay, that's pretty cool. And then on their own, like it wasn't their dad. Their dad obviously is happy about it because it was a problem, or it still is a problem. I don't know where they're at right now in the journey, but we'll find out end of June. But that's awesome. That's what inspiration is. right? You see it from another guy who's kind of like you, who could be like you, who's maybe a little ahead, and they get inspired. It's like, if that dude could do it, I can do it too. And it makes sense. And bam, the seed is planted. Now, all we got to do is hold their hand and help them to follow through. We don't have to convince them. Yeah. Cool. So now, a couple of reflection questions, and just write them down. I want you to write it down, though, please. Write it down on your phone or a pen and paper. I want you to think about and make this so the intention is that you get an answer about in relation, because I don't want this to be about, well, it is about you, but it's also in relation to your relationship to your kid, to your swimmer, or to your swimmers. So write down all the thoughts that you no longer want to think in relation to your child and performing or swimming or like whatever. Okay. What are the thoughts? Just the thoughts, not the feelings, not like other stuff. Just what are the thoughts you no longer want to think in relation to your kid in swimming? So maybe it's like, he's not training enough. He's too fast for his age. He shouldn't be, or like, she doesn't want it bad enough, or whatever it is. You have to be honest. Nobody's going to judge you. Okay. We're not sharing it. You just keep it for yourself. But the thoughts, and some of them may sting a little bit. That's okay. The thoughts you no longer want to think if you really thought about it. And write those down, please. I'll give you like a minute, okay? And guys, you kids were doing awesome on this because I read the answers. They're like freaking amazing. All right. So thoughts you no longer want to think. Okay. And then the second question, if you're done, is again, write those down. Become aware of how you speak and how you act during a regular day, right? Let's not take the super outliers, because this is about changing everyday life, not about when they just got in the national team or when they just had the worst race of their life. It's kind of like what you do on an everyday basis. So become aware of how you speak and how you act. Okay. And now this is obviously going to be related to the thoughts that you no longer want to think, because thoughts lead to actions, right? Maybe to feelings first and then action. It depends on the model. How you speak and how you act. Right? And try to go deep, because believe me, just like you know your kid and you can see through the freaking mask, they can too. They are not stupid. Okay. They feel you. They know you. Okay. Okay. And then third question, look at certain emotions that you feel most of the days that bring you down. Okay. That are not, if you really thought about it, that is not your ideal. Look at the emotions that you feel every day that bring you down. Maybe it's frustration, angry. There was a lot of angry with the kids, which surprised me. It's just really interesting to kind of see, especially if I've been coaching them for a while, to like put this together. It's really, really nice. But whatever they are, right? For me, it was anxiousness. When I did this last time, it was like with my business and stuff. It was anxiousness, stress, and frustration. maybe it's hopeless, maybe it's angry. I don't know, whatever it is for you. Okay, and the only thing I want you to do this week is to become aware of when it actually happens. Okay, because the first step in change, it always has to be just awareness. There's nothing to do about it yet. And actually, the matter of fact is that you will be better, you will know better what to do about it than I do when you're aware of that it's happening, because then you'll know exactly what to do. And that's why I mean, I love this mindset work, because I just love everything about the spiritual. I love everything about body workouts, spirituality, and stuff. I just love the kind of development journey and stuff. But the main reason I think why I have a coach is to show me the blind spots that I have, the things that I'm not aware of, right? And that maybe my brother cannot, or maybe my brother sees it or my sister sees it, but they're not in a very good position to let me know, because I'm like, yeah, shut up, little brother. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean? But my coach, 65, and I have a lot of respect. And then he's holding up the mirror and I said, oh shit, I didn't see that was running the show. But in that moment, when I see it, I have a choice, right? I can make a new choice, and then it's on me. The coach did his job. He showed me what is going on, and we deconstructed it, and I see what's going on in my consciousness, and I can now make a different choice because I'm aware. If I don't see it, I don't have a choice. Things just happen, right? And so I want you to just become aware of the thoughts that you no longer want to think when they happen. Just become aware. Become aware of how you speak and act, and become aware of the emotions that you no longer want to feel. Okay? And probably what's going to happen is you're going to catch yourself saying something like, oh, right? And then you get closer and closer to real time by just having the intention in the morning to be aware. And I think the coolest way to do that, really, and I think, again, this is just going to be your all-powerful subconscious, your higher mind, everything that's connected is going to inform you about what to do. But it's literally the easiest way to do this is to set an intention in the morning to serve your kid. Serve yourself and serve your kid. And then things will happen very naturally, because there's so much love and all that. But it's to really set an intention to, or maybe like, let's say you're waiting in the car and she's just finishing practice, right? And you're going to pick her up, and then the car ride home, either it's always the same, or it's not very productive, or even it ends in fights, like whatever it is, or it's just always the same. Then you set an intention when you see her coming there. You like close your eyes and you set an intention what you want this to be. New. And then you just be you, right? But this is how we kind of instruct the subconscious, by setting an intention, what we want the outcome, what we want out of this. And we want something new, because new means potential. It's unknown, it's scary, but it's potential. Right? And I don't know what people's potential is, but I know it's more than what we are now. All of us. 100%. Put both my hands in the fire for that. But we have to be okay with the unknown. Okay. Does that make sense? You guys are amazing parents, no doubt about that. But I want you to investigate your own kind of beliefs and thoughts and feelings that you have towards something that has been happening and again and again and again. I want you to start become greater than your bodies. Greater than what has been running. Like, we call that a program. Right? And it's nobody's fault. You got scarred. I got scarred through my parents. It is part of the human journey. And then your kids got scarred through you. It's part of the human journey. Okay? There's nothing wrong. It's nobody's fault. Happens with everybody. It's totally normal. Some things are more father derived. There's like one, for example, it's like, I'm not worthy. It's like, later in life that will turn into like this mom that makes it's a pleaser, right? That makes all the sacrifice, puts everybody in front of her and stuff, and then gets kind of passively aggressive about that because she's prioritizing everything else and she's letting she's not having the time. That is not worthy. It's mother derived mostly. Then there's others like This is my big one, for example. It's just I'm not good enough. It's more father derived when you get a lot of energy for doing things right, when you learn how to ride a bike or you learn how to put together the first puzzle, and that goes, wow, 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 that's amazing, right? But you know, whatever, you learn how to drink, and I go, wow, wow, wow. And every time you do stuff, you get a lot of energy. So then that means I have no value. But if I do stuff really well, then I get the value. So I must do stuff a lot good, and I got to do it really well. That's what I'm afraid of failing and stuff. So it's just very interesting. And there's different beliefs and all that. And we have a combination, and it is what it is, you know? But at some point we can put that behind us and say, okay, this is what happened and stuff. I cried and I made up some stuff that, true or not, doesn't matter. It's just there, and it has been running the show. And now I choose to start to make some different choices because my awareness, I understand how this goes. I see this is not really serving me and where I really want to go, and I can reinvent myself. I can become someone new. The best analogy I can give you, I don't know if you guys know these massive multiplayer games online, like World of Warcraft. There was one with like Lord of the Rings, but you basically have a character and you choose between an elf and a human being and an orc or whatever, right? You choose one. And then you go through the game. You're the player, and you're playing this character, and then you level up your skills. You get a new crossbow, you get a new sword, you get a new armor and stuff. You level up the way, but that's the character that's playing in this world, but you are the player. And how life kind of works is there is you are not your body, you are the player, and then you move your body through this 3D world. Do you know what I mean? And so you want to level up the character, right? Build a new character, have new skills. And, that's the fun part. Right? And then you take these experiences and the learnings and everything, you take that when you die, and your body stays here, right? You go on the ground, you get burned, whatever. And all the food, it's like it's going back to earth. But the soul takes the experiences. And then I don't know what happens, but something is going to happen. And I think it's pretty cool. Right? But it's about growing and like becoming aware. Oh, I don't have to be defined by all the circumstances, by all the past, and like everything that's happened in the past. Nobody likes me and I'm always excluded. It doesn't have to be like that. Okay. So that's change from the inside, new thoughts. Because we have so much, like it kind of hurts to say, but it's not a pleasant thing to point out. But like, let's say somebody is swimming in a club and they don't feel like they belong, and they get excluded, and they're not included, and they get maybe bullied even, and they switch clubs. And then literally 3 months later, the same thing happens. And then they switch clubs. And then again, 3 months later, the same thing happens. Right? But then it's on me to point that out, to look at the situations and be like, okay, what is the common denominator here? Oh, it's your daughter. Right? And it hurt. It's like as a mom or a dad, that would hurt to admit, but it's true. So maybe she's creating that by the thoughts that she's having and the choices that she's making and the way she behaves. She's creating that. Right? And it's going to continue over and over and over again. And the problem is with this loop that we looked at, it gets more difficult to break. That's why to coach you guys would be 100 times more difficult than to coach your kids, because their circuits are much more plastic. They're not as fixed and rigid like ours. Like most of you are older than me, so probably yours are more rigid than mine, right? My dad's really freaking stubborn because it's been like that for like 70 something years. That's just how it goes. And with the kids, it's actually pretty easy, which is cool. It's opportunity, right? This is not about pointing. It's just about change. I like change. Any questions on this? Otherwise, I'll let you go. We're good? So this is what I explained to kids, right? And I just want you to, on your own, I mean, if you want, have a chat with them about what they learned and what you learned and stuff. I think that'd be the coolest if they want to, if you want to. Otherwise, I gave you something to become aware of, and then that's all you need to do. Because when you become aware, you will know best what's next from there. Okay. Cool. Was that fun? I liked it. Did you like it?
Yep. Love it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, guys. Have a lovely night, and
Same
we'll
to
see you
you.
soon.
All the best.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. Bye.